Morning. How's everyone doing? Good morning, good morning. Oh, where's my teaspoon? Well, that's weird. I have a teaspoon that I keep right here to put the little stuff in. Found it. You ate it? Oh, I gotta tell you. Oh, it's in here. Oh, it's inside. Yeah, the elf definitely took my teaspoon and put it inside. That was weird. I guess keeping it inside makes sense. Hey, Cindy. Long time no see in book club. How are you? You keep yours inside. Well, so does Secret Husband, apparently, right? Cindy, how are you? We miss you so much. We haven't seen you on book club in so long. And Grace is here too. It's a miracle. It's a day of wonder. Aww. Hello, everybody. This box is empty. It's a Christmas miracle. It's a New Year's miracle. Alright. The whole gang's here. Claire's here too. I just got caught up on the last book club. Amazing. Look, everybody's here. Everybody's caught up. What a beautiful day. I'm so thrilled. This is exciting. Even if it's just to say hi, it's still wonderful. Yay! Let me see if I can open this. You're paid to be here. I wish we could pay people to be here. Wouldn't that be fun? I wish I got paid to be here. Someday book club could be paid. That would be so cool. Sasha, you should do a coffee tutorial video. I mean, I can if you want, but I can tell you it's pretty simple. So I use the Nespresso to make the coffee, and depending on what I'm doing, I make it a little bit differently. And then I put in a little bit of half and half, a little bit of milk, and a little bit of sugar-free creamer, and that's really it. I also do put collagen powder in it because, I don't know, I hope that it will make me stronger. I don't know. Here's a nickel of a cent. I need to reactivate my teeth. Right? Yeah, that's funny. Recouping from pneumonia. Oh, no. My New Year's resolution is going to be get to book club on a regular basis. We would love to have you, Cindy. My New Year's resolution is to finish my book, one of them, some book. You have pneumonia too, Cindy? Why is everyone sick? Don't be sick. I love you too much. Not any more recovered, but I did. Oh, that's terrible. Pneumonia sounds truly awful. I've never had it, but I don't like it. My New Year's resolution is shift production, procrastination, just do the thing. Secret Husband is so much better, Sloth. Thank you for asking. He's off today, so he's sleeping, which is great. He is much improved. Yeah. Very improved. Not so much pain. You're so welcome, Nicole. You are so welcome. Apparently walking pneumonia is going around big time. Really? Ugh. He was not sick. He injured his back. So he was not contagious or anything, because you can't catch a back injury to my knowledge. But he did injure his back, and that was not ideal for literally anyone. But he's better now. Yeah, we were really diligent with, his care, and he's better now, so that's good. He moved normally yesterday, which we love to see. He has tall vibes, so that makes sense. He's very tall. Yes, he's quite tall. I think our baby has his legs, you guys, which could be good or bad for me, hard to say, but I'm going to show you guys what she's been doing lately. So yesterday, the baby's head was very clearly over here, right here. I could feel that her head was right here, okay? Her little head. Her feet were here. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. It's not that they were here. It's not that they were here. They were over here. And I was like, girl, how long are your legs? How long are they? Why are you able to kick me over here when I can feel your head is right here? How long are your legs, child? How long? Yes, ballerinas are tall. It's true, they are. She could be a rockette. She might be a rockette, you guys. So, yeah. Tiny rockette, soccer player, whatever you want to call her. She's in there, and she is long. Yeah, she is long. She could be 19 inches already. It's possible. I mean, her dad is tall, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. She's not a big baby, because she's in the 40th percentile for everything except height. Yes, my birthday was yesterday. Thank you so much for the wishes. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. I should put a little bit more of this. Yeah, I am only 5'4", Rhonda. I'm average. I am like solidly average for an American woman. I think the average for American women is 5'4", right? Isn't that correct? I think like almost all the women in my family are exactly 5'4". Yeah, I think it is average. Yeah, I agree. Which is fine. Like, I have no problem being an average sized girl. But you do have long legs compared to your torso. I do. I do have long legs compared to my torso. Yeah, no, I'm not taller. I have a friend who called me short the other day because he's 6 feet above. You are not short, Cindy. You are by no means short. Your friend is incorrect. I hate to break it to him, but he is exceedingly incorrect. You are extremely tall. You would tower over me. But Secret Husband he's 6'2" and change, I think, so he's in your friends category. Off the long legs topic, what kind of coffee do you usually drink? Nespresso. I have an espresso machine, and I use it every day. Before I was pregnant, I used it multiple times a day, but I've limited myself to one since pregnancy, unless I do a decaf, of course. I've been trying to... How is your diaphragm so far? Yeah, literally, it's so scrunched. It's so scrunched. I've been switching to labor prep tea for my second drink of the day, because I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not real, maybe it doesn't actually work, but what if it does? And it can't hurt me to drink tea, so I don't know. I didn't know you took voice lessons, Grace. That's so cool. What is your vocal type? This is just another way pocket people blow up mine. I picture Sasha as tall and Sydney as short. Yeah, no. I'm the shorty. I am the little one. It is yummy tea. That's exactly right. All right, let me get the tripod. Cindy is a tall bean. I am a small bean. My sister is exactly my height for context, and my mom is only 5'1". So we are a small folk, but don't forget, you guys, Italians generally are pretty short. Like, there aren't very many tall Italians. Let's be real about it. I mean, like, I'm not trying to, like, stereotype an entire group of people, but we're not a tall people. You know, we're just not. My grandparents were both very short, both of them, and it was very cute, but they were very small. I think my grandfather was only 5'6", and my grandma was 5'2". I started as a mezzo, nice, and then just a soprano. Yeah, your mother's mother was 4'9". I went to Jinx and Dilla Christmas show last night. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Did you take pictures? I'm almost 5'6", so fairly average. Canvas 5'5". He will be taller than you soon. Guys, I think Zoe is going to be taller than me by the time she's in 5th grade. Maximum. Zoe is so tall, you guys. She is going to tower over my sister and I because her dad is tall. She is such a tall girl. She's 4 years old, but she's like real tall. And so sometimes people meet her, please do, Jen. Sometimes people meet her and they're like, I don't remember what her projected height is, Grace, but like people think she's a 6-year-old. She's only 4. She's a bitty baby. Like, they ask questions like, oh, why is she do XYZ? I was like, cause she's a 4-year-old. And they're like, she's 4? I'm like, yeah. And 4-year-olds do that. By the way, if you guys want to laugh, so Zoe, my niece, has decided that she is a doctor. It's fine. We roll with that. She decided this about a year ago, that she's a doctor, and she has been on the doctor train. Hey, Amanda. That's exactly how my son was. He was little and he's now growing 6'7". Jeez, yeah. 6'7" is tall. Popping into, hey. So Zoe started playing doctor about 1 year ago. She's got a doctor lab coat. She's got a stethoscope. She's got the whole thing. She's very into this, like, I'm a doctor thing, right? Okay, fine. No big deal. And so for Christmas this year, I bought her an extended doctor kit so that she could increase her specialties, if you will. I got her a little doctor table. It comes with a little clipboard and fake x-rays, the whole thing, right? Okay, fine. This is great. She opened it on the baby shower day. She's obsessed with it. She loves it. It's like her favorite toy. She's super into it. However, secret husband injured his back, right? And she is concerned because her favorite uncle in the whole wide world has injured himself, and she's the doctor. So of course she has to fix it because that's what you do when you're the doctor, right? So yesterday my sister made a video, and my sister asks her at the beginning of the video, she says, Zoe, can you say happy birthday to Sasha? And Zoe said, no, I can't because I have to do a doctor's appointment for Uncle. And then she says my husband's name. And Catherine says, okay, but can you say happy birthday to Aunt Sasha? And she says, no, I can't. I'm being the doctor and he's sick. She was so worried. She would not, she refused to say happy birthday until she could give him her diagnosis. And she said he needs to take a bath to rest his back, and she needed to put a bandage on it. And then after that, she sent him to a specialist, and she said that he needed to go to a doctor. And so he responded back and he said, well, Zoe, I talked to the doctor and they said you're the best, so I only want you to care for me. And as soon as she was able to do that, then she was able to say happy birthday. No, it's not terrible advice. Honestly, it's pretty good. She woke up yesterday morning and said, and told her mom, I have the perfect fix for him, for Uncle Secret Husband. It was very cute. She said, I also have hurt my back, so I know how to fix it. I was like, this kid.
She cracks me up. She refused to say happy birthday until he was better. It will not happen. She's like, I'm the doctor. We don't do this. Hey, Anya, you're back. I love her too. She's so funny. Meanwhile, in the background, her brother Ethan is singing happy birthday. At the age of 1.5, he already knows how to sing happy birthday at the top of his lungs. He's going, happy birthday, Sasha. She's got a one-track mind. She's the doctor, and that's what's happening. She even gave him a referral to a specialist. He's only 1.5, yeah. Can you believe it? Or he's already 1.5, depending on your perspective. He acts like a full-blown 2-year-old, though. This child is so smart. It, like, makes no sense to me. He's too smart. I was like, why can you sing happy birthday on key at 1.5? It's kind of weird. You're kind of genius. I kind of love it. Yeah. Yep. That's the whole kit and caboodle with those kids. She's like, it's unprofessional to say happy birthday while I'm working. I know, right? She would not. I can't believe it's been that long. I feel like it was just, I know he was Gustav for so long. He's so funny. He's such a funny kid, you guys. He's got a great sense of humor. I can't at 42, right? Yeah, a lot of people can't at 42. No, truly. A lot of people can't sing happy birthday on key, and this 1-year-old can. He's a genius. I don't know. You know, I think I've told you guys before, Zoe and Ethan's grandfather, my sister's dad, bye Cindy, see you later. My brother and sister's dad was a phenomenal musician before he passed away. And so we're just like crossing our fingers that Zoe and Ethan got his musical skills, you know, because like what a gift, right? How lucky would they be to inherit his ear and his abilities? He was so good. So hopefully they got that from him, and that's why he can do it. Yeah, exactly. He is not casual. He is not a casual 1-year-old. He was like, I'm going to sing happy birthday to Aunt Sasha, and that is the end of the story. And I was like, thank you, Ethan. And Zoe was like, no, I am very busy feasting Uncle's secret husband's back. I was like, that's okay, Zoe. I'm not offended. It's fine. All right, let's read. So, I've always wanted to have that tongue the last time I toned it. Ugh, it's just a thing you're born with, Jen. You can't take it personally, right? You either got it or you don't. There's a lot of things I can't do. I can't draw, I can't do math, all of those things that are just like, you know. My mom had perfect pitch, but she lost it. Apparently they attribute it to piano music. Really? Losing perfect pitch, they attribute to piano music. Did they say how or why? That's very interesting. I don't think I have perfect pitch. I think I have very well-trained relative pitch. Oh, she got it from the piano. Okay, I thought she lost it because of piano. I was like, what? I know, Wicked pre-order comes out today. Isn't that crazy, you guys? They turned that around fast. All right, so we are on chapter 29 today, and we will probably also get to read chapter 30 because this one looks like it's a short one. So let's get into it and see where we're going. For anyone keeping track, we are at 69% in the book. She had an ear surgery. Oh, yeah, well, the surgery would do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a bummer. It's kind of like, I'm still sad the Wicked Legos are not that great. Oh, what's not great about them? Just really quick, like, so we watched Sound of Music last night because it was my birthday, and that's what you do on your birthday. You watch what you love. And I kept thinking about the doctor who had to perform surgery on Julie Andrews' vocal cords. Like, there's no possible way, no matter how good of a specialist I was, you could convince me to do surgery on Julie Andrews' vocal cords. You couldn't pay me enough money to take that risk. We're reading a book called The Matzah Ball. Good morning.
We are?
We are. We are.
All right.
Hooray. Your coffee's over by the maker. All right. Chapter 29. Jacob was a man who prided himself on being reliable, and in his mind there were things that reliable people did. They took care of themselves and the people around them. They were always on time, if not early, to work and meetings. But the following morning, on what would be night 7 of Hanukkah, Jacob found himself dallying. Instead of rushing down to the Four Seasons and dealing with his quickly devolving professional life, he meandered. He ate 6 of his grandmother's rugelach for breakfast. He lingered over coffee. He walked 20-something blocks down to the Four Seasons. Everyone wants to know if Dr. Zoe was able to help you.
Yes, I believe she...
Carried you?
Well, she sent me to a specialist.
Yeah, but then you went back.
I went back and she gave me a Band-Aid.
She did give you a Band-Aid. That was
so
nice.
if you have back problems, if you get a Band-Aid for it, you're pretty set.
Okay, great.
It holds it all together.
Yeah, just, it's good. It's good. She knows what's up.
Very smart little girl.
Yeah, she tried. She was not willing to say happy birthday until you were healed, so you know you're loved. At the bare minimum, right? I have another...
Doctors don't have time for birthdays.
No, doctors don't have time for birthdays. Meanwhile, Ethan's in the background going, happy birthday to you. It's very funny. Anyway. The whole time, he thought about failure. He wasn't afraid for himself of his matzo ball not crossing over and recouping its investment. Wait, what? How is that a whole sentence? Where's the rest of the sentence? Wait. He wasn't afraid for himself of his matzo ball not crossing. This feels like an incomplete sentence. Anyway. He worried for all the people who relied on him. His staff, his investors, Shmuel, his family. It was the holiday season after all, and everyone deserved to feel secure. Around mid-morning, Jacob finally arrived at the venue. With his hands dug deep into his pockets, he approached the stately hotel. He had no idea what Rachel was up to, but his phone had been oddly quiet that morning. Taking a centering breath, he made his way inside. He pushed through the lobby and the maze of the hallways before coming to a full stop. The sight before him was so shocking that he blinked to make sure he wasn't dreaming. 3 sets of double doors that led to the main entrance of the matzo ball had been decorated to look like tents. Large swaths of blue chiffon fabric cascaded down the walls, tied up together with silver brocade rope. Projected onto the ceiling were lights in the shapes of stars rotating, giving the appearance of a starry night. It was like something out of a Hanukkah-inspired biblical fantasy. Beautiful, but magical. It had to be, considering the decor had managed to appear by itself overnight. Swept up in disbelief, he entered the ballroom. Every corner of the place swelled with people and activity. Jacob didn't recognize most of the faces that were rushing past him. With hammers, fabric, fairy lights in hand, everyone was in the process of tearing something down or putting something up. And finally he found Rachel. She was sitting in the bedazzled wheelchair in the center of the room, surrounded by strangers. Holding up a clipboard with a Bluetooth device in her ear, she was barking out orders. All right, I need at least 2 of you to oversee the electric design. Avi and Ari, can you please work with the technical department to make sure that everything is set up this morning? Not a problem, the 2 men said eagerly. And Shauna, I need... Rachel turned to the woman holding a baby, and Jacob recognized her from the Shabbat dinner. How are those costumes coming along? Oh, great, she said, bouncing the baby against her chest. I only have 1 more to make, and then I'll move on to the gift bags. Awesome, Rachel said, and made a note on her list. How about we meet back here in an hour, and we'll regroup? The crowd dispersed. Jacob, still unsteady, took the opportunity to approach her. Rachel, he said, and stumbled over the words. You're here. Jacob, she smiled. You're late. He was stunned into silence. It wasn't just that she was here, lovely as always. It was that Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt had shown up for him, and she brought friends. What is all this? He asked. This, she said proudly, is your new and improved matzo ball Max. How did you manage this? Oh, I didn't do it by myself. Mickey's helping. And half the people here came from Camp Ahava. You don't remember them. Not really. Oh, well, they remember you. After I called Mickey, he called Kevin and Ari and Avi, and then Aviva and Shira and Dara, and from there, it was just a giant game of Camp Ahava telephone, and 6 degrees of Jewish separation, which, from everyone at Jewish Summer Camp knows, is our most favorite game in the whole world. Anyway, when everyone heard about your problem, they all really wanted to help out. That's incredible, Rachel. Well, not really, she said. We do it all the time. When someone's parent dies and you need to make a Shiva call, or someone's visiting a strange city and they need a place for Shabbat. There's a lot of downsides to growing up as Rabbi Goldblatt's daughter, but there are definitely some upsides too. Jacob leaned into her. And how are you feeling? Oh, I'm okay, she said gently. I'm making it a point to rest and not push myself too hard. Also, this chair is fabulous. I don't know why it took me so long to get myself a bedazzled wheelchair. He so badly wanted to kiss her in this moment. I really appreciate you being here. Honestly, this has been a lot of fun for me too. I never realized how much I enjoy bossing people around. Plus, if anyone gives me trouble, she yanked the brake of her wheelchair, I can just roll right over their foot. I don't know, Jacob, you might have created a monster here. He laughed, falling into her smile. She was so joyful. Whatever magic resided in the room, it was nothing compared to the woman who had created it. You know, Jacob said curiously, you never actually told me what disease you have. Oh, I have ME. ME? Oh, myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's sometimes referred to as chronic fatigue syndrome, she said. And please don't say it's not a real disease. Jacob blinked. No, I would never say that. Her eyes softened. People think about it and they think it's just being tired, but it's not. It's all encompassing. It like steals everything. You can't imagine what it's like to have a disease that steals everything and yet it has the stupidest name in the whole world. Is that why you keep it a secret? Names are important. Jacob didn't care. He heard the words and the diagnosis. He knew the ups and downs of life with chronic illness. He'd lived with them before and he wouldn't wish them on anyone. But when he looked into those beautiful brown eyes, he couldn't imagine a future with anyone else. And you're all right, though, Jacob asked, wanting to make sure. Using this wheelchair in front of everyone? Why, because your mom didn't like them? Yeah. Look, I need this chair, she said. I need this chair to help save your matzo ball and to keep myself healthy in the process. Anyone who doesn't understand and who thinks they deserve some sort of explanation on my life, my body, or my disability, she met his eyes directly. Screw him. Jacob smiled. Yeah, I like that attitude. I bet you do. Rachel? Someone called out to her and they both turned. Mickey was standing behind them, and an awkward moment passed between the two men. The last time that Jacob had met Mickey, the dude wanted to end him. You remember Mickey? Rachel asked. Yeah, of course, Jacob said, forcing a smile. The men then shook hands. Damn, this guy was tall. It took everything Jacob had to swallow the little bubble of jealousy brewing in his chest. It was obvious that Mickey loved Rachel. He even mentioned that they were best friends. And then a terrible thought landed like a sledgehammer in the center of his belly. Had there ever been something more between them? He didn't like the thought. Another man appeared at Mickey's side, and he was considerably shorter than Mickey, with blonde hair and a swath of freckles that crossed his small, upturned nose. This is Stefan, Mickey said, and Stefan looked up at the ceiling. Yeah, this could work. You think? Rachel asked. With the right setup. He pulled out his phone and dialed. How long do you think it's going to take? Maybe 10 hours, Stefan said, glancing up at the ceiling. Rachel beamed. Can you do it in 5? We can try. Thank you, she hugged the man. I mean it. You and your friends are total lifesavers. Mickey and Stefan took off, leaving Jacob alone with Rachel once more. I'm so sorry, Jacob said, slightly confused. Who was that? Oh, that's Stefan, Rachel said, making another note on her clipboard. He's going to be our dreidel. Our dreidel. Well, technically he's an acrobat, but for the purpose of the matzo ball, he's the shin on our dreidel. I don't understand. You need a dreidel that wows, right? Well, Stefan and his three very talented friends have agreed to be your dreidel. Rachel pointed up to the ceiling. They're going to do tricks and like spin and float down on silks, like acrobatic stuff. Wear fabulous blue and white leotards with Hebrew letters from the dreidel on them. Jacob was gobsmacked. That's actually brilliant. I know. She smiled before wheeling off to the next station, and Jacob chased after her. But what about costumes? Well, they have leotards, Rachel explained to him succinctly. And Shauna over there, do you remember her? Shauna from Camp Ahava? No. Well, she taught sewing for 6 summers straight. Rachel stopped sighing heavily. You know how many useless skills you learn at summer camp? Well, anyway, you learn how to wire a lamp, how to make shakshuka, how to sew a pillow. But sometimes, those useless skills actually come in handy. Jacob was speechless. Rachel was remarkable. Remarkable Rachel. He wanted to knight her with the moniker forever, but she was already rolling away toward the kitchen, and Jacob broke into a sprint to follow her. Pushing through the swinging doors, she raced past the waiters and the catering staff, stopping when she came to Shmuel bent over a counter. "Shmuel, you really need to stop eating all the hors d'oeuvres." "No, look, I'm just making sure they're up to par," he said, turning around. He was licking his lips, a tiny fried latke decked out with tuna tartare held tightly between his stubby fingers, and on the counter behind him there were 3 silver trays filled with the most impressive-looking appetizers that he had ever seen. Jacob bent over the trays, attempting to analyze them. The simple potatoes, once doomed to being boring old latkes, had been revamped completely. 8 potato pancakes now became the setting for a bevy of delicious additions, including tuna tartare, quail eggs, and smoked salmon. "I present to you," Rachel beamed proudly, "the latke 8 ways." Jacob's mouth began to water. No wonder Shmuel couldn't control himself. The food looked and smelled amazing. "These," Shmuel said, picking one up, "these are just truly delicious." "I appreciate the 5-star review," Rachel said, taking them out of his hand and putting them back on the tray. "But like I already told you, these are the samples for the caterers tomorrow to follow. If you eat all the samples, where will that leave us?" "You're right, but did you have to make them so delicious?" "I promise you can eat all the hors d'oeuvres that you want at the actual matzo ball." Shmuel beamed before turning to Jacob. "This is a good woman, Jacob, a smart woman. You could use a woman like her on our team." "I don't deny that," Jacob said. He swore he saw her blush, and perhaps Shmuel did too, because he suddenly forgot about stuffing his belly. "Well," Shmuel said, wiping his hands against his shirt, "I should probably go and check on those final food deliveries. You two behave yourselves now. Hanukkah's when all sorts of magic can happen, you know what I'm saying?" Shmuel took off, leaving Jacob and Rachel behind in the kitchen. A stillness fell over them. Even though the caterers and the staff were rushing back and forth, it felt like they were the only 2 people on the planet. "Hey, listen, Rachel," she interrupted him. "I know, I went a little overboard with everything. I tend to do that with the holidays, but I hope you like it." How could she ever think otherwise? "No, I love it," he said truthfully. "Oh, really?" she asked, surprised. "Because, I had to make do with what we had. Some of the stuff, I know it could be higher end, but I wanted to give it the feeling of being..." He was the one to interrupt her now. "You've outdone yourself. No, seriously. It's amazing. You're amazing. I don't know how you did all this, but I am so grateful that you're here." A thoughtful smile swept across her face, and she blinked, looking away, searching for words. The room quieted into silence once again, and Jacob focused on her. She was beautiful. She was everything he wanted. She could feel it, his heart racing, his breath quickening, as if he had only just discovered what it meant to be alive. "Come on," she said, and took his hand. "Wheel me over to the bar. I want to show you one more thing." Jacob did as she commanded, taking her to one of the many bars being set up in the main ballroom. On the counter, he observed a row of martini glasses, and beside them sat open a box of Sauvignon. Powdered sugar lay piled high on top of a plate, while the rest of the jelly donuts sat there next to it. "What is all this?" he asked. "This," she stood up, stepping behind the bar and turning herself into a makeshift bartender, "is the matzo ball's signature drink." Rachel got to work, and Jacob watched as she dipped a martini glass into the powdered sugar, and then she carefully set it aside, selecting bottles from a row of alcoholic beverages showcased above her. She combined a mixture of creme de cacao, strawberry-flavored vodka with a ginger beer before pouring the bright red concoction into the sugar-decorated glass. And lastly, she poked a toothpick through the small jelly donut and added it as garnish, and then presented the glass to Jacob. "Voila! Spiced Sauvignon martini!" He pulled the drink to him and took a sip. "Wow," he said, shaking his head. The taste of strawberry and powdered sugar was assaulting him. "That is a dangerous drink." She blushed. "Holiday martinis are kind of my specialty." Jacob could feel his heart racing again. Maybe it was the drink roaring to his head and causing him to lose all his inhibitions, or maybe he was just still reeling from the way he felt when she had taken his hand. But Rachel leaned over the counter again. Her soft lips were edging into a smile. They looked so inviting, and the music was in his mind. "If we have time," she said, fondling the toothpick, "we'll drizzle some white chocolate over the donuts and let it harden a little before the party. My hunch is that will bring out the flavor in the creme de cacao perfectly. But I want to do some taste testing first." Jacob swallowed. "You are a woman of many talents." She leaned over the counter and took a sip of his martini. "It seems really clever, but honestly, it's just a play on a Christmas martini that I made last year." "You made a Christmas martini?" "Oh," she said, wide eyes. "No, I made it for Rosh Hashanah. Pomegranate seeds, they look a lot like cranberries, and I just adapted a Christmas recipe for Hanukkah. He corrected her. You mean for Rosh Hashanah? Right, sorry, she said, her shoulders tensing. For Rosh Hashanah. Jacob could feel her rigidity rising between them once again. The easygoing girl before him was gone. He wasn't sure what had shut her down, but he fiddled with his drink and tried to bring her back. All right, well, what can I do to help? Well, she said, returning to plop down in her chair, how are you with upper level management? I'm an expert at telling other people what to do. Okay, good, she said, and took his hand one more time. Because I need you to help oversee the setup of like a gazillion fairy lights. Chapter 30. 7 hours later, the matzo ball Max had finally come together. Rachel watched along with her friends from Camp Ahava as a team positioned the completed menorah at center stage. A round of applause erupted from everyone in the room. Amazing, Jacob said, clapping the hardest for Rachel. A miracle worker, Shmuel agreed. There was only one thing left to do, affix the final bracket to the largest candle, thereby completing the menorah with the addition of the shamash. Well, Shmuel said, picking up the bracket, I can only think of one person who should do us this honor. Rachel? Jacob asked. Are you up for it? She glanced at the small crane and the ladder stretching toward the ceiling. Yeah, I think I can handle that. She rose from her wheelchair. After taking the bracket from Shmuel, she approached the ladder. It was a bit more wobbly than she expected. Hey, Jacob, Nikki suddenly called out. Why don't you help her? Jacob turned bright red in the cheeks as he raced over to oblige. Stepping behind her, he followed her halfway up the ladder before placing his hands firmly around her waist. It's okay, he said. I'm not going to let you fall. I know. Rachel reached up on tiptoe to screw in the final bracket. The room burst into applause as a shining example of their hard work. Rachel took a look around the room of the matzo ball. The space had been transformed. Large swaths of blue and silver fabric were draped on every square inch of the wall and ceiling. A gazillion fairy lights, which Jacob had hammered through the room, felt reminiscent of snowflakes or stars. On the main stage where the musical act would perform was the magnificent 10-foot menorah that Rachel and Jacob had built together. It was dreamlike. Tomorrow the final pieces would come together. There would be Hanukkah-inspired foods, drink, entertainment. Rachel was certain that Jacob's matzo ball would rival any party that she could have dreamed of in her Christmas romances, and she wanted to tell him that. Instead, she glanced back at him, his strong arms steadying her despite the instability of the ladder, and felt the magic. Suddenly the room was plunged into darkness, and a quick gasp escaped Rachel's mouth as she realized she could fall. Jacob responded to her fear with his gentle strength, and he grabbed her tighter and held her close. It's okay, he whispered through the darkness. I got you. She believed him. She didn't know what the heck was wrong with the lights of the Four Seasons, and she waited for them to turn back on. But instead, she heard whistling. It grew, and it got louder, a familiar Jewish tune. Rachel groaned aloud. She had heard that Jewish song 1,000,000 times before. What is going on? Jacob asked. They're pranking us. Who? Everyone from Camp Ahava, she said. Just give them a minute. The whistling turned into full-on singing and clapping, and Rachel could make out a dozen small cell phones flashlighting, then feet shuffling and people grabbing bags before the sounds of the doors swinging behind her friends faded into silence. The electricity in the ballroom returned. We're on page 284. It's chapter 30. When the lights came back on, Rachel and Jacob were alone. Just him and her, their bodies pressed up against one another. Oh, sorry, Jacob said and squinted. What just happened? They're teasing us, Rachel explained as they began their descent back down the ladder. They were whistling and singing Od Yeshama. I don't know what that is. Rachel landed firmly back on the dance floor. She couldn't help but sigh over the stupidity of this joke. No doubt her best friends since forever put them up to it. Od Yeshama is played at Jewish weddings or when a couple announces engagement at Shabbat dinner or during shul. They were teasing us, implying that we were... Jacob smiled. Headed toward marriage? Rachel smirked. You barely know me, Jacob Greenberg. I know you, and I know you're a miracle worker. When she laughed, he added, and you are an expert menorah technician. She nodded, allowing him to flirt with her. This is true. Unfortunately, he said, taking her hand and twirling her on the ballroom floor before pulling her close and placing one hand on the divot in her waist. I'm afraid I'm going to have to agree with your friends. We are most definitely headed toward marriage. Are we now? You should just come to accept it, Rachel. We'll plan it for Hanukkah next year and it'll be really romantic. And if I refuse, I'll wear you down, he said, just like I did at Camp Ohava. Careful, she warned him. That's how you ended up with toothpaste in your sneakers. He laughed, and their lips were nearly touching. She wanted him to kiss her. She wanted to spend the rest of her life in this fantasy with Jacob Greenberg. Do you like rugulash? Jacob asked. I love rugulash, she whispered. Whoa, he said, his cheeks dimpling. I know a place where we can get the best chocolate rugulash in town. If you're hungry and you're feeling up for it. I'd love the chance to thank you personally for everything you've done. Like, seriously, Rachel, you saved my matzo ball and I owe you something. Rachel couldn't resist the offer. Okay. Great, Jacob said, and he pulled out his phone. Let me just text the chef and let her know we're coming. There were no cabs available that evening. The cold winter weather, coupled with the last of holiday shopping, meant that every vehicle, from yellow taxicabs to the unmarked livery vans, was taken up with riders. With flurries falling down all around them and slushy mud piling up around their boots, they settled on taking the subway. They were lucky enough to catch the 5 train just as it rumbled into the underground station. Jacob allowed Rachel to enter first, holding the doors for her. She felt breathless and happy and fell into a seat. How are you feeling? He asked, sliding down beside her. Oh, I'm good. He gave her some energy. Their thighs touched, and a zap of electricity sprang through her entire body at the feeling of his thick and muscular quad brushing against her own leg. She wasn't sure to do with that feeling, so she just clutched her purse tighter against her chest. In the process, she caught sight of 2 large banner ads directly above them. The first was for the latest release by Jason Peterson, a well-known crime writer of more than 30 books. Beside it, with just as many bestseller accolades, was an ad for Christmas in the Caribbean by Margot Cross. And Rachel felt her stomach dip and her mouth go dry. She was used to seeing ads for her books during the holiday season. That wasn't what bothered her. What troubled Rachel were the images used to represent both world-famous authors. In the first, a large picture of Jason Peterson smiling widely wearing a collared shirt accompanied by the cover of his book. For Margot Cross, beside the dreamy cover of her new Christmas romance was just the image of a ribbon. A freaking stupid green and red ribbon. Rachel was annoyed. It seemed impossible, really, unfair, to work so hard for something, to bring life to the stories and characters that felt so real as any children, and then to have that work be represented by a ribbon? Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt was more than just a piece of tartan fabric tied up in a... Sorry, even though Mom knows it's book club, she called anyway. She knows. Are you a Peterson fan? Jacob asked. She asked, snapping her head in his direction. You seem really interested in this guy's new book. Oh, she said, forcing the words through her teeth. Yeah, how did you know? Well, I certainly didn't think you'd be reading Margot Cross. Rachel could feel her chest sink. Jacob didn't mean it to come off as hurtful or offensive, but it stung anyway. And yet this was her chance, her opportunity. She could easily admit the truth and point out the fallacy in thinking that a nice Jewish girl, the daughter of a rabbi, couldn't enjoy a little bit of Christmas envy. But what would happen if Jacob didn't understand? Or worse, what would happen if her parents and the people from her community found out the truth? Hey, this is our stop, Jacob said, rising from his seat and offering her his hand. She took it, grateful for this opportunity to be removed from her own intrusive thoughts. Soon, they came to a modest mid-rise apartment on the Upper East Side. This was not what she was expecting. I thought you said you were taking me out for the best rugulash in the city. Oh, I am. He held the main entrance door open for her. She followed him onto the elevator. It was an old world-style New York City apartment. Unlike her fancy Upper West Side apartment, it had none of the newer and more modern amenities. Still, it was charming, if not altogether terrifying. Rachel found herself offering up a silent prayer as the elevator creaked and groaned to the 14th floor. Coming to a bumpy stop, she followed Jacob down a dimly lit hallway to an apartment, dusty mezuzah affixed to the doorpost. He rang the doorbell, and moments later, a tiny, gray-haired woman wearing a flowered blue and white kimono threw open the door, and Rachel recognized her immediately. This was no stranger. This was Toby, the elder angel who had offered her spring rolls and Sauvignon on her first day volunteering for the Matzah ball. Rachel, Jacob said, pointing toward the old woman, this is my bubby, Toby. This is your grandmother? Panic raced through Rachel's chest as she met Toby's gaze. She wondered how much Toby had told Jacob about her, whether she had revealed the terrible things that she had said about him. She wouldn't blame Toby for calling her out or giving her a tongue lashing, but instead, Toby raced forward, offering Rachel the warmest of hugs. The act was so kind and genuine that Rachel couldn't help remembering the love of her own grandmother, who had long since passed. "Rachel!" Toby squealed, delighted. "What a bracha to see you again." "Oh, you too," Rachel said nervously. "I did not realize Jacob was your grandson." "I'm sorry," Jacob said, glancing between the two women. "Do you two know each other?" Toby grinned. "Duh, we met the day I brought you lunch at the Four Seasons." "Yeah, we shared some spring rolls," Rachel added. "And the conversation." Toby winked in her direction before wisely changing the topic. "Come now, you must be starving. Jacob told me how you single-handedly saved the Matzah ball with your brilliant and creative spin on Hanukkah. You'll have to tell me all about it over some rugalash." She took Rachel by the elbow, leading her inside. It was a sizable New York apartment, large and stuffed to the brim with books and papers. The vestiges of Jewish life were evident here. Rachel's eyes settled on the vast collection of Shoninyot displayed in the living room. There must have been 100 of them. Her eyes fell on the silver menorah sitting on the windowsill, lit for the 7th night of Hanukkah. "Come," Toby said, pulling out a chair in the kitchen. Sit. Rachel sat down at the small circular table. Toby headed to the oven. You okay?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to our very, very special restaurant
Uh-huh.
for your birthday dinner that's not on your birthday.
Yes.
Are you comfortable having caviar?
I can't. I'm not allowed to. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll let them know.
But you can have my portion. I am not allowed.
Because
It is not
it's
cooked.
raw.
It's not cooked, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wah, wah. It is what it is.
So,
Rachel sat down at the small circular table, and Toby headed to the oven, putting on protective mitts and pulling out the baking trays filled with oozing chocolate pastries. Jacob busied himself making a pot of tea, and Rachel felt like an honored guest. "Can I please help?" she said, rising to her feet. "No, absolutely not," Toby said, threatening to smack her hand. "You sit back down right now." Jacob, however, was gentler in his execution. "Please," he said, pulling out her chair. "You're our guest. Let me treat you the way you deserve." "Exactly, Sloth. We just have to be as careful as possible. We don't want to send her into preterm anything." That's exactly right. Yeah.
yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, no,
I'm
we have
sorry,
to check.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
You didn't interrupt. That's fine. You know who interrupted? Mom called in the middle of this, even though she knows it's book club. I was like, "Mother, you know what's going on here."
Does it end it instantly if you get a call?
No, it just blocks it out for a second. But she knows better. She nodded absent-mindedly, falling back into her seat. It was all so perfect. His grandmother, the rugalash, a handsome millionaire serving her chocolate in his kitchen. She felt like a character from one of her Christmas romances, and she couldn't help but suppress a laugh. Jacob glanced back at her. Is something funny?" No, she said, waving away the question. I'm just happy." "Good," Jacob said, loading up the platter. "Then I'm finally doing something right, I guess." He poured 3 cups of piping hot chamomile tea. Moments later, he and Toby were pulling up seats beside her and handing out plates. Rachel's mouth watered at the sight of cream cheese and chocolate layered inside flaky dough. "Well," Jacob said, "let us know what you think." Rachel picked up a tiny pastry. It was still warm as she placed it in her mouth. The sensation of sugar and butter sent shockwaves of delight across her tongue. "Oh my God," she said, covering her chewing to be polite. "You weren't lying. This is amazing." Toby and Jacob laughed before beginning to pile up their own plates, but Rachel was not merely being polite. They were the best rugalash she had ever tasted, on par with those rugalash she experienced in Jerusalem during summer vacation and gap years with friends. "They're a secret family recipe," Jacob said, taking a bite of his own pastry. "No, not so secret," Toby offered up and smiled in Rachel's direction. "I'd be willing to share it, of course, and pass it down for future generations to the right person. If only my handsome grandson would find the right person." Jacob put his puff pastry down, getting serious. "Bobby." Toby turned to Rachel. Jacob never makes time for dating. He's gonna let me die old and alone and never having my first great-grandbaby. First off, Jacob said, defending himself, I will have you know that I already told Rachel that we were going to get married next Hanukkah. Toby beamed between them. Oh, really? And she flat out refused me. Rachel exploded with laughter. Whoa, way to put me on blast, Jacob. Look, I'm a desperate man. He said, well, I'm willing to pull any future bubby in-laws as necessary. Rachel sighed. Okay, well then I guess I'm truly doomed. The teasing continued through another round of warm pastries, and it was clear that Toby and Jacob had a really close relationship. Rachel liked seeing this side of him. He was a person who valued family. He enjoyed eating. Food was important to Rachel, just as all the rest of this stuff. Reaching across the table, she grabbed another chocolate rougouloche and popped it into her mouth. Jacob smiled at the sight of her enjoyment. You, got a little chocolate on your face? Rachel tried to wipe it off with her hand. Is it here? No, Jacob said before picking up a napkin. Do you mind if I... Rachel shook her head and Jacob leaned forward to use the napkin to wipe the chocolate from her face. His touch was soft and gentle. She could smell his breath, sweet and aromatic, as he lingered mere centimeters from her lips. She couldn't help but think about kissing him. He had been her first kiss, after all those years ago at Camp Ahava. The moment had given her butterflies. Would it do the same now? Well, Toby sighed loudly. She gathered up her plate of cookies and a cup of tea. I think that I've had quite enough sweet treats for one night, and I will be heading to bed now. You two, take your time. Enjoy yourselves. Eat as many rugelach as you like, you kill, dear. I'll see you in the morning. And Rachel, I truly hope I get the chance to see you again. Jacob and Rachel said their goodnights and thanked Toby for the rugelach. Left alone, Rachel took one last opportunity to continue teasing him. She grinned in his direction. You kill? I knew that was coming, Rachel-a. They both blushed. The diminutive addition of la to a name meant little. It was commonly used by Jewish grandparents and parents for their children, and when the suffix stretched into adulthood, it was generally used as a term of endearment. It was nice to hear him speak so sweetly to her, but it was also getting late. Rachel didn't want to leave, but they both had a long day. It would be unfair to take up any more of his time, especially considering that he had the matzo ball max to throw tomorrow. I should probably be getting home, she said softly, and Jacob perked up in his chair. Oh, let me come with you. I live on the Upper West Side, Rachel reminded him. That's practically a long-distance relationship in Manhattan's terms. Please. His eyes were serious. I wouldn't feel right letting you head home alone. Rachel hesitated. It had been a long time since she let a man escort her home. There were good and valid reasons for her to say no, but she gave in to the bubbles pressing against her chest. Okay, she leaned into him, but first, I want another rugelach. Very sweet. So for anyone keeping track, we are at 74%. Let's see how much we have left of this. Oh, nope, not that. Go back, go back. Where's the chapter thing? Here, is this it? So, oh, we have quite a few chapters left to go. We'll probably be reading it for the first week of the new year, which is fine. It's good stuff. We love to see it. That was delightful. I should, knock on wood, be on live later today to make slime. I know I haven't been for the last couple of days, but everything is all good today, so I should be on to do that this afternoon. I don't know exactly what time, but you know, we'll hang. What is this, do we think? Piece of hair just doing its thing. That's the whole kit and caboodle. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day until then, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.